Welcome to Individual Support Plan Guide Training, Module 7, Personal Outcomes, Goals, Implementation Strategies, Budget. The next section of the ISP Guide covers personal outcomes. The guide provides information about the required components of personal outcomes and goals. Appendix B describes the implementation framework, including implementation strategies. The HCBS rule specifies that the support coordinator develop the ISP and facilitates the development of the personal outcomes and goals with the individual and the team. If there needs to be a change made to a personal outcome, the ISP needs to be updated and signatures obtained to authorize the change. The HCBS rule tells us that all ISPs must include goals and desired outcomes the person has identified. Also, HCBS rule states personal outcomes are written in plain language and in a manner that is accessible to individuals with disabilities and persons with limited English proficiency. During the planning process, the Missouri Quality Outcome Life Domain areas are reviewed. The person and their team may identify personal outcomes related to these specific domains. Personal outcomes include what the person is interested in trying, learning, doing, or achieving over the next year. Personal outcomes are not required for each Missouri Quality Outcome Life Domain. A personal outcome is a statement that describes the individual's desired future, an achievement, an accomplishment, and/or a result that helps the person move closer to his or her vision of a good life. Personal outcomes are individualized to the person and his or her situation, perspective, and life experiences. Personal outcome describes the success or end result of what the person wants to accomplish. A personal outcome is not a service such as will receive community integration services. A personal outcome is the end result of what the person achieves with the benefit of services and supports. A personal outcome is not a statement for continued supports, such as will have a physical annually with routine blood work, or will continue to receive day services. This support may contribute to living a fulfilling, safe, and healthy life, yet they are not personal outcomes. An outcome is not an implementation strategy. The implementation strategies are the specific steps, teaching, action from others, etc., to achieve goals that make the outcome of reality. Personal outcome examples. George takes a vacation to Nashville. Tom has a friend with a similar interest. Linda works to make money to afford her own apartment. I am healthy. These are all examples of personal outcomes. Each of these outcomes is individualized, based on the person and his or her interests, visions of a good life, and/or desired achievement. The examples illustrate how the person's words and ideas can be captured in a personal outcome. Also, each relates to at least one of the Missouri Quality Outcome Life domains. Some outcomes may address more than one domain. The specific Missouri Quality Outcome Life domains do not need to be identified in each personal outcome. Next, we will discuss goals for personal outcomes. Goals must be measurable and describe the actions to be taken towards achieving the personal outcome. There may be several goals associated with each personal outcome. Goals are individualized to the person and his or her situation. When developing goals, a variety of integrated supports and services can be assessed, including the person's own assets and strengths, technology, relationships, community resources, and those supports and services that are eligibility specific. Each goal has implementation strategies in place to provide step-by-step actions and instructions for the people responsible for implementing the goal. Goals are milestones reached on the way to achieving an outcome. As the goals are achieved, the person's outcome will be closer to being achieved. The provider that is responsible for providing the service or services develops the implementation strategies for each goal. The implementation strategies must be measurable and are part of the provider's documentation to ensure personal outcomes and goals are achieved. Implementation strategies provide step-by-step actions and instructions for the staff responsible for implementing the goal. See Appendix B for more information on implementation strategies. Services are habilitative in nature, require personal outcomes, goals, and implementation strategies. For example, the following services require personal outcomes: independent living skills development, community integration, individualized supported living. Habilitation services are those that help an individual learn, improve, and retain skills to help him or her life in the community. Any service, when habilitative, requires a personal outcome. Individuals may have support needs that do not require specific goals or implementation strategies. For example, if an individual has a support need for briefs, this is not considered a habilitative service. A personal outcome is not required. A description of this support must be documented in the ISP. For information on what services require or may need an outcome, see these resources. The ISP Guide provides a link to these documents. This chart describes what has to be included in personal outcomes and goals. You will note each ISP must include at least one personal outcome. In addition, each personal outcome needs to describe the current situation, things that have been tried, and why the outcome is important to the person. Each outcome needs to identify what it means to the individual in his or her words, if possible, and include the timelines, frequency, and duration regarding the completion of personal outcomes and related goals. This guide does not require a specific format to be used for personal outcomes and goals. It instructs us on the content required to be included. If you refer to page 11 of the ISP Guide to the section Non-Division and Community-Based Supports, you will see the section that discusses the items in this chart. These supports are also listed here as a reminder that the ISP must include this information and show that supports and services in these areas are being assessed and developed in the individual's personal outcomes and goals. The support coordinator will assure that the individual's budget information is part of the ISP document. The budget shall also be attached and outlines all services received and cost. This information is vital for the individual, his or her family, and all service providers, as it creates a picture of all paid supports for the individual. The budget outlines the time span of services, name of service provider, number of units, service rate, total cost of each service, and total budget cost for all combined services. This concludes Module 7.